morning, SRA Nation.
We're excited to get this season off with a bang.
I think they're all taking tires. And on top of that, it's going to be saucier. It's going to be an all-out shootout to the end. He's got line of sight on these guys.
I commend you for the bravery. He's getting this close to the diffuser.
All you gotta do is win the race. You don't have to lead a whole bunch of laps.
Oh, they're going to be side by side going into the next corner.
Oh, that's a big contact in the back of the field.
Can't stay out there like this.
He stayed in it!
We're off and away for SRA.
Hello everyone, welcome to week 4 for Division 2 of Season 10 here at SRA. It's me, Waleed, in the booth with Mr. Sam Robworth. How are you, Sam?
I am good and glad to be back.
We missed you. Granted, everyone missed us last week. Unfortunately, I had some issues and couldn't get to the stream, and I got many an angry DM about not having a stream available for Paul Ricard. But we're back, we're better, and we're missing Dan Rufus. I think he's doing the D6
Yeah, he's moved
stream.
on to better things.
Hey, now, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, he started, just talking with us and trying to help out in the very first race, and now he's hosting his own. That seems pretty cool.
True. And chat's already blaming me. It's all downhill from here. Hopefully Indy tonight for D2 goes much better than it did for D4, D5, D1. Frankly, anybody from last night's racing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a very long driver's briefing. I don't have that much hope.
Yeah, and then, the stewards are going to have a nice big face palm after the first 30 seconds anyway.
Yeah, we had about, I think I can say this, about 15 tickets last night. And then I was handling them, and then I went to sleep and woke up, and there were 11 more. So, these things happen.
Jeez.
Why don't you run us through the track map and let us know exactly why we're having so many issues here at this race?
Oh, well, there's a couple things here. I mean, the number one thing about this is that for some reason they've been able to carve out the entire part of the track that has almost no camber. So there's no real help from that, camber gravity going around turns. You have a lot of flat sweeping turns that are easy to catch you out and slide out and lose grip. But also we've got some very long straights. So it's just sort of a, chaos is going to come at the end of those straights with the tight turns. And then when you go into the long turns, you really have to just hold and, sort of just apply pressure, apply throttle slowly. And that's very hard for people. You want to get on throttle as soon as possible. So if you're looking at the track map here, turn 1, when you're starting there, that's death in traffic. It always is. I mean, look how tight it is. You come down from the main straight, everyone's got to slam on their brakes. You really have to be cautious and get around that turn. And in the end, you're not going to gain anything from hitting that turn really well. Braking late, good. But you need to get on the gas early for turn 3, and then find a way to get your brakes on, your car turned in, and get around turn 4 just to set yourself up to go straight through 5, 6, 7, more or less a standard sort of hairpin, but kind of a wide hairpin. 7 is one of the harder turns on this map, at least for me. That is sort of the first time where you are having a lot of side flipping, trying to get on throttle on a very flat, slippery track. So that is very easy to go wide off in the grass or spin off into, well, the ether. Now we're coming down to another straight with another tight turn at the end. This one is actually not that hard to get right. But a lot of people, I think, mistake turn 8 and turn 9 for something that they need to get perfectly. If you actually let that sort of go and set yourself up for a better turn 10, that is the most important part. A better turn 10 gets you on the throttle earlier from 11, 12, that big sweeping turn all the way around. If you mess that up a little bit, getting into turn 11 as you start that sweeper, that's another place where it's flat, but you have a lot of speed and you're trying to turn and have that side slip under control, and there's just little parts that can catch you out. I know a lot of people tend to have trouble going into turn 13. There's not great brake markers from when you're coming around that turn 12, coming down this slight straight into 13. But once you get it done, you just got to get back over to the right side for 14, tuck in, and then as soon as you can, get back on the throttle for the turn 15 onto the main straight. But the turn 15 is the same as turn 12, is the same as turn 7, the way I've been talking about this. It's basically flat. You have a ton of speed you want to gain and not very much grip. So watch out for that and drive safe.
I like it. I really hope D2 at least has a stream on in the background so they can hear us telling him to drive safe. That's a very polite way to put it. I would have said don't drive like a helmet. But it is what it is. Before we go forward, as always here at SRA, we have to thank our sponsors, the people and the companies that make what we do possible. Look at all these beautiful faces. Or names, I guess. Noted in the chat, as I said earlier, the title sponsor is one short from being even, and that's bothering my OCD. So someone go to Patreon, become a title sponsor, solve my OCD for me. Outside of this, huge thank you to everyone on this screen, but as well as Documize, a modern business solution for product management. How many people here are managing product is surprisingly more than I thought. The amount of people in SRA who have like real jobs kind of scares me. Following that up, support from Retro Saga. They're a North American-based gaming company providing accessories for your favorite classic systems, from Nintendo to Sega to PlayStation and more. I'm pretty sure Dreamcast is somewhere in there too. You can visit them at retrosaga.ca. And then our affiliates. This is the ones that I think people really care about because it's how you get discounts. Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SR8 at checkout to support the league so we can do more cool stuff like Enduros. Armamentario. A toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Better radars, better callouts, better fuel calcs, all the stuff. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And finally, To Go Setups, our premium esports setup partner for everybody. Use our affiliate link in the Discord to take your drive to the next level. Again, these are all available in the affiliate link within the Discord. I know a lot of you haven't fully explored the Discord. Go find stuff. It's cool. There's a lot of stuff in there. See if you can find the prediction series of the food channel. So we move into our driver standing. Right now, Victor Diaz in P1 for the championship. Followed by Sacombe, followed by Bailey, followed by Stefiuk. Fun fact, the coach has predicted Stefiuk to win this race, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
We'll see if that's fame or folly. We'll see what comes out of that. Rounding out your Division 2 standings after 3 rounds. Remember, we do have a drop race, so everyone's worst result will get dropped. And Team Series, or I guess the Team Championship within Team Series. Hoonigans in Division 2, Stefiuk and Diaz, top of the board. Followed by Ghost Rider Racing, Man Person Sacombe. Followed closely by Basin Alish, who didn't have a great round 2, but recovered pretty well for round 3. Jason finishing, I think, P2. So now let's take it to the race and see what's going on in qualifying. Silvers are a little way through their quali. And it looks like our provisional pole right now is Cody Platt.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive looking at the gold standings there with the top 2 or 3 teams are actually pretty close, even though, the first team sort of seems a bit stacked with, if we're expecting one of them to win the race and the one's already leading. But it's good to see that. It's good to see close racing.
Close race would be nice, but again, hopefully not too close. We've had, I'd like to see the race make it 200 meters,
Oh, I'm sure we'll get 200 meters. It's that extra 300 or 400 down the straight.
I'm pretty sure the sign markers on this track are in feet.
Are they really?
I think so, because you start braking for turn as someone dies in the background there.
Oh.
I think that's Moffitt, who immediately teleports to pits. Yeah, I think because you brake for turn 1 at the 400 board, or just past the 400 board, and I don't imagine you brake half a kilometer before the corner. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I'm gonna go ahead and hazard WTF's a kilometer, and we use feet.
Yeah, The one thing we haven't really talked about yet is the pit lane. Everyone loves the pit lane here at Indy, right?
Oh God! As we see it fly past Anastasia starts his second lap or his next lap, I didn't even realize how poorly designed that is.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, first off, based on the way that this is laid out, for GT racing, you've already got a mile. It feels like 20 miles an hour. It feels like, going down. You're just sitting, waiting just to get the pit limiter off. And then as soon as you do, there's not really a good line to show you where to go, which is kind of open. And then there's basically just kind of a line perpendicular that you have to kind of get your angle on, right? And I know, do it a couple times, it's actually not that hard to get set up, but by God, it is a bad design, and it puts you out exactly where everyone at turn one is already trying to get back on the throttle. So yeah, that's a dangerous one there. And from what I've heard, I think it's like a 75-second pit stop or something. So you kind of can't strategize that very well in your own head, thinking about how far is this going to put me back into traffic, or, is it better to do this for some sort of undercut or overcut? It's just things that maybe while you're driving at full speed around a track like this, you're not going to be able to strategize very well.
Yeah, 75 seconds is more than I can count on my fingers and toes, so I cannot then calculate a strategy based on losing that much time. Looking real tight at the top, though, about a quarter second between the top four, as Cody Platt is on a green lap, about a tenth and a half up, which will be enough for provisional pole if they can hold it together and Anastasia in front doesn't improve too much. But it looks like Anastasia got a great run at the last corner and improves about 2/10.
Yeah, 36.0 seems like a pretty good time, too, for qualifying.
I was incorrect. Anastasia was not in the last corner. But he is currently 2/10 up. See yellow flags for GB3, who's gone completely off track. Mercedes in the wall at an American track. Are we at Daytona again? BMW. It's been a long week off. Mixing up my Beamers, my Mercedes. All the German cars look the same to me.
Yeah, so it looks like, let's see, Cody Platt did a lap time best of 1:35.7 in the, ranked practice lobby here. So the next silver down was 1:35.9 something. So yeah, 1:36.0 for silver. I think that's pretty good, especially, sometimes it's a little bit more daunting when you have people around you, even if they can't pass you or anything. And also, the tire temperatures and pressures and all that sort of stuff, you might have dialed in over the course of an hour of practicing versus having just this quick shot. So I think they're doing pretty well right now.
Yeah, getting within, as Anastasia bips him and puts it on pole with a provisional pole with a 35.9. I noticed, especially for the silvers, it's kind of hard to get back to your practice times or your theoretical times, just to the nature of the track. I know right now it is optimum, but it feels like it takes some time for the track to rubber in. Kind of get your head right, get over the nerves a little bit, and also have to deal with, like you said, the cars all around you. So getting close to your best time in quali is very impressive. I'm always super impressed by the people, especially who will set a personal best in quali. I've seen that a couple times, and they tend to have really, really good races soon after, as the golds are out on track.
Anastasi's time there actually beat his hot lap time by a few hundred, so he's definitely on it.
Sandbagger! How do you not get moved up to gold? Unbelievable.
Yeah, it sure looks like there's still, some of that overlap between some silvers who could push up some golds who maybe wouldn't be there. But usually that is track dependent. You tend to look at these guys and maybe they do very well at a certain track here or there, and you go, oh, they're sandbagging. But overall, I think that we're pretty good, pretty accurate with where people are, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair. Like Bathurst. Bathurst, I'm fast. I'm not fast anywhere else. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you're falling downhill. How can it not be fast?
Like a fat kid with change in his pocket, just rolling down quickly. I happen to have the inside track. I don't think Bailey's done much practice for this race. I just want to put that out there. I don't mean to call the man out in the little chat, as they're already smoking Bendy Brew. I don't think he's done that much practice because we were hanging out in the Discord earlier, and we're like, "Hey, come play Helldivers," and he's like, "No, I have to pack, and then I have to practice," and he did not pack nor practice, and I think he was just playing Minecraft. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here with his Aston.
Yeah, man, I flew back from 2 weeks in the UK on Saturday and was completely wiped out. So on Monday, I was telling my teammate, like, hey, I haven't really been able to practice. My best bet here is to qualify last, sit back as people crash, and try to just survive the race, and that'll be the best way to deal with it. And then I didn't survive real life, but that's the plan still. You know, if you're at the back, it's actually tends to be a good strategy, or at least a little bit safer, because the mid pack is where it's always dangerous.
Yeah, I think at the back people understand. All right, cool. I got to make a recovery, which means I gotta pick and choose my spots. People in the front are like, I'm just gonna get away, and people in the middle, God, people in the middle. I had someone in the middle, generally speaking. Ugh. Let's see, who do we think? Chat, give me a car to follow. Who do we want to follow for a full lap around quali? Because right now we're on Bailey as he's going around, and getting some disrespect to Bendy Brew. And until they get back to me, I'm gonna go with the first one I see. Let's jump around. Let's take a look at the GTRs doing their GTR thing. People want to see the coach. Or is it just Diego that wants to see the coach? Come across the line. Puts it in P19. Last of the people with the time. Not a great showing. Let's see if he has something better in the tank for the next lap, because that is not up to his own pace. Stefiak immediately putting it in P3 though, with a 136.0. He's so fast.
Well, that was dumb. My bad. I guess I was. No, my battery on my headset died because I was using it on the airplane the other day, because it's the only headset I have with good noise canceling features.
That'll do it. Well, that's
yeah,
probably...
it's always great to fly with a nice big gamer headset on, right?
No, I have a pair of Bose 700s for that. Because I am a slave to aesthetics. I said I'd stay on coach for the whole lap, and I will, but I think he doesn't know it, but he wants to get off camera because the commentator's curse is not doing him well right now as he's lapping in dead last.
It's a plan.
It's a ploy. Don't believe him.
I mean, he's the coach. You can't accept that he's actually in last. That's not going to happen.
Well, he rounds the corner 8.5 tenths up on his time. So that should put him somewhere in the middle. P18? P21. Let's see what's going on at the top. Paul Mary, D2's resident hot lapper, puts it in P3. The 36.01 with that Mercedes. I almost called it a BMW. And Dunham puts it in pole with a 35.925, 5 thousandths ahead of Anastasi.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, these gold guys better kick it up a notch a bit. We're gonna have a whole bunch of overlap otherwise.
What happens when you put 33 sim racers with a total gap of 1.4 seconds into turn 1 at the same time?
Nothing. In real life, you expect, oh, they're all that good, but to be honest, the difference between people who can put a hot lap in versus who can sit in a crowd and, you know, be cautious or even make the overtakes they need to, there's a bigger gap than you think, you know?
That's fair. I think the issue comes when the people who can't do that run into people who can't defend, and now we can't stop laughing.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say that's wrong while I'm in this seat. It's only wrong when I'm in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's only a problem when I'm involved.
Exactly.
Interestingly enough, we have 5 Porsches on the grid. Who's missing this race?
Yes.
It's
Oh, are
Victor
you saying
Diaz.
that's
Well, we should have an even
not
number.
enough?
We should have 6 or 4. We shouldn't have 5 unless someone's missing this race. As Diaz puts it
True.
in pole,
Teams-
and then Palmieri puts it in pole right on top of him with a 35.622. Since I know
That's not a
Diego's
bad
in the
jump.
chat, I know Jacob talks a lot of smack, talks a lot about wanting to be faster than Diego specifically. I don't know what's going on there. Y'all should hash it out. We should all be friends. But if we watch Stefiak here, who's currently in P4, basically even with his previous lap time, but Palmieri's a quarter second up. So we're actually going to jump over to him. The current pole sitter running into what looks like a little bit of traffic.
Is that the coach?
And it is the coach.
He's giving him a slipstream. That's cheating.
Palmieri had a really poor exit onto the straight, though. He was up 2.5 tenths. He's now even with his previous lap time.
I
But
sense collusion here.
but he will have another lap to go as we look at the coach, who is currently in P16. So he did improve when we took the camera off of him.
Well, he's kind of in camera now, so
And
let's
he's
see what happens.
down 4 tenths because he's on camera.
So yeah, I guess I wonder if there's 5 Porsches because one of them's a one-man team. There's a couple of those throughout the league.
Just sprinkled here and there. As Palmieri fully backs out of his lap to get some space to the coach.
Who is right behind Palmieri also?
That is, I believe, Jason Allen.
Okay, so he's not really going to come up his backside there on this lap. That's good. That's always
I
one
lied,
of
it's
those
Bailey.
problems. Oh, well.
A little more likely.
Yeah, I mean, one of the hardest things to do as not even a sim driver, but any sort of racing driver is to understand the difference between somebody catching you and somebody just still accelerating or in the straight while you're in the brake zone. It's very disconcerting. And so if you are looking in your mirrors on a qualifying lap like this, which I know you basically shouldn't be, you shouldn't need to, but that can really catch you out.
And a correction, the car directly behind Palmieri is Dunham, and Bailey's behind Dunham. All these Astons look the same. I regret. I do not apologize.
I mean, Astons and McLarens are all up there in the top, well, almost top 8, but we just got one Mercedes leading the whole pack.
Max
But that
Diggs
certainly
saying he's
says
the
something.
992 that's missing, by the way.
Oh.
I know Ryan's in the chat. What's going on with this bop? Why is it just McLarens and Astons, bro? What's going on here? I want to know why.
Yeah, that is sort of a weird combination. I mean, they're not exactly similar cars.
Yeah, one's a boat and one's a race car. I will let you guys figure out which one is which. Looks like Palmieri will hold pole position unless we go to Stefiak, who's currently 500ths up, but it's enough. He just has to hold it together for the rest of this lap.
Yeah, almost a 10th up now, right?
Yep. 10th and a half? 10th?
Really, just have to be cautious around as you get on the throttle right here and don't mess up the, I mean, when you cross over that curb right there, you can take so much of it and it just doesn't even like register. I don't think you can get a warning on that curb, which is nice. They, Stefiak took a lot of it. And, the only thing you really have to get right now at the end of the lap is getting on the throttle right about here. Now it's just all the way out, and it looks very, very close.
I don't know if he has it.
Oh,
It's flashing.
wow. Yeah, I think it's there.
He looks like he did not improve.
No, he was. I think he sandbagged it on purpose.
Yeah, he maybe ran out of fuel or pulled off the gas intentionally, but he lost a half a second right before the line. Unsure of what happened there.
It said 0.02 of a second all the way onto the straight. There's no way he missed that without something happening.
Yeah.
Out of gas is tough.
As Dunham at the very last second, out of nowhere, managed to bit Palmieri by
jump.
a bunch. What happened here? Also, 35-4. You guys need to go touch grass. Why is Division 2 doing 35-4s?
Yeah, we'll just blame it on DOP.
Yeah. Ryan, this is your fault. Chat pointing out the coach in number 5 car in P5. I told you, we just had to take the camera off of him. Once we took the camera off of him, life was good.
Yeah, you gotta love seeing the Nissan sign up there and and what is that? Is that, what am I looking at? That is a Nissan sign, right? The GTR?
Yeah, and P12?
P12, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Having a GTR be in front of the next closest Porsche it hurts. It hurts my
The
heart.
GTR's faster than the Porsche here.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't exactly a track for the Porsche anyway.
I don't think the 992 is actually that fast. That's what I've been informed by Mr. Bop himself. A very depressing realization, but it's a realization nonetheless. Will there be Armageddon at T1? Yes. Will we catch it? Maybe. Who do we think is going to be involved? I'm going to go ahead and guess... Oh. Mr. Bob did not say that the 992 wasn't fast. He said, quote, it was shit. That's not better. But
it's so much fun, though. It's fun as shit.
I think Sacombe might get a little unlucky here on lap 1. I think he's a lot faster than his qualifying pace has shown. And I think that tends to lead to incidents when you have a mismatch pace-wise compared to the people around you.
Well, I mean, certainly worst case is if you watch, the D5 race where the guy who qualifies in pole just had a little bit of a worse start at the lights and then got bumped by someone else getting bumped and caused chaos, has to be at the front end of the track. So, I mean, the front end of the group is the worst case for this at turn 1. Hopefully they can at least get some of those guys through to get onto their race.
Palmieri's going to have the advantage here on the start compared to Dunham. That Mercedes doesn't have turbo lag.
Yeah, true.
Whereas the Aston, and I don't know if Dunham's going to be brake boosting it to start. That seems like something people don't generally do because it's very high risk. But I feel like Palmieri might get a jump here on the outside. Because remember, the outside of turn 1 turns to the inside of turn 2. So we'll see if... And Palmieri does seem like the type of person to send it. So we'll see.
Yeah, the other problem you have with the inside is that is not the racing line during the normal race. So that is going to have a lot of debris or, rubbering and stuff. You can really just feel it and hear it shooting up under your car and making your tires just lose all of their traction going into the most important turn at the beginning.
And if you get pinned to the inside, that curb is not friendly.
Yeah, I mean, with these cars up front, at least it's better than if it was one of the lighter, mid-engine or rear-engine cars.
I mean, if one of those McLarens hits the inside curb, it's not gonna be great.
No, I mean, they're gonna go into the bleachers at that point. Let's see, where did Dunham do on the fast lap throughout the week here? I'm trying to look down. I don't actually see him very high on the list. Oh no, there we go. Colin Dunham. So he was he was 3rd in fast laps, and he actually did a 35.5. So not far off of what he qualified with.
Down to 35.4.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I was worried that he just got a kind of lucky qualifying, because then you really get swamped by the fast guys. I'm looking at the fast laps, not the fast stints here, so it's not a great look at how people do around a couple laps or with a little bit of weight in their car from fuel. But that's going to be the big thing here, right? Is you cannot take fuel in this race. at
Yes.
all, it is banned.
I think it is
So-
tires required, fuel not allowed.
Exactly.
And I was talking to some people after yesterday's race, and they were saying the tires feel really, really bad really quickly around here. So, I mean, with the track temperature of 32 degrees, like it's not cold.
No, I mean, you have high track temperatures, but you also have so much heat journeying into the tires because of how flat it is. Every time you do those sweeping turns on flat ground, you're just side slipping, and that is the easiest way to generate heat into your tires. So yeah, it's definitely something you have to keep an eye on, especially with all these heavy braking zones. You know, once you start losing your tires, you need to adjust something to try to get your braking back to where the point should be.
I never noticed how aged, like dated the Mercedes looks, but when you put it next to the other GT3 cars, the fact that its taillights aren't like a laser LED taillight like really stands out to me.
I still love it.
I mean, it looks great. As we're approaching the line, and we hopefully for an hour of clean, fun, no hazard racing. Green lights, away we go. Looks like I was right. Palmer's pulling a little bit on that acid on the outside.
Yeah, it looks like the coach might be trying to come down a little bit on the inside or defending back there. Pretty wide, multiple rows.
Contact.
Ooh,
Looks
a
like
little bit of a
they're all
curve
good.
jump.
Caught a little bit of contact. Some big yellow flags in the back, but it looks like we've all made it through relatively okay.
Yeah, it looks like someone just caught a little bit of curb and knocked them sideways, but not hitting anybody in the wrong point, causing a spin. Very nice.
All right, we've made it through turn one, and no one really died. I'm already feeling like this has been better racing than all the other divisions that have gone so far.
They had the fear of God put into them in the pre-race, I'm sure.
Nice. Absolutely
that.
wonderful, guys. Fantastic.
Ooh.
So,
Well,
I'm just gonna wait and
I'm
see when he gets
actually-
back on track or gets back to driving.
I think we should blame Chad on that one. You know, horrible start from Palmieri. I thought it wasn't that bad until now.
Yep. Let's see if we can see what happened
Ooh.
here. Or was
Is there
it
more
just-
yellow around the
nope,
corner?
This is all. I tried to rewind 25 seconds and it just said, nope, you're already in the incident.
Yeah, it seemed like there was more yellow around the corner when we were going back to live also.
Sick.
I wonder if this will catch.
Nope.
Oh, no, just perfect.
But somehow Dunham just, well, I don't know about somehow, because of the contact, starts to just run away, and he's already 2.3 ahead of Diaz. As
Yeah.
big crowd here in the T1. Steffiak just being quite rude to Jason and just passing him into turn one.
It's pretty lucky here for Diaz because even though they've lost a gap to the leader, they also have a little bit of a gap behind them. Everyone else behind is in this pack of within a second, and that will start slowing the pack down as they're fighting. But if you don't have to actively defend, you might be able to keep up with the leader and even go after him.
And in some context, like we did see the coach, who's currently in P3, make contact with Palmieri, so there might be some damage on that BMW, which will make it difficult for him to catch up if there's already a pace difference. And you can see
yeah, certainly.
Diaz is stretching out the gap. He's already at 1.4, 1.5.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see if anyone, hits those curbs at T1 enough to upset their transmission, alignment, things like that. You just do it again and again and again, and sometimes you can notice it's just a bit off.
Let's see who's really fighting on track. Right here, Charles and Chan. Then a Merc sending up the inside of a Honda.
Ooh, that's nice spacing right there. Gave him just enough space to stay on the inside and keep it clean.
Just gonna read this message from chat. Absolutely, P3 in the P1 triple stint racing gloves. Get yours today. I don't know about you guys, but I bought mine. I got the, what are these, the podiums? The blue ones with all the blue, white, and red. Great gloves. Very, very breathable. Much grip. 10 out of 10. Support the people who support us. So they're having a bit of a dogfight here in the Sector 1.
Yeah, it certainly seems like the AMG has got the legs on him on the straight, but if you can't get out of a turn and get on throttle early enough, then you're never really going to catch and make the overtake.
Yep.
He's catching him just too late to actually get it done.
And Moffat's lurking in the background. I don't think Moffat had a great qualifying. All I remember of seeing him is completely losing it on the exit onto the straight and putting it into the wall. So hopefully his race goes a little bit better. And as the Mercedes gets a little loose, and Moffitt decides to just take the position very casually.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about turn 7 there, is you have to wait to get on the throttle. And it's so hard as a racing driver to actually be patient and think, oh, I should not get on the throttle right now. But as soon as you do it too early on those flat, big sweeping turns like that, you're going to slide out, you're going to lose the tail a little bit. And then on a straight like you just got onto, you can lose 1, 2, 3 places in a row depending on how close the pack is.
Oh, nice. 10 out of 10 racing, boys.
Oh. Hey, he's going the right way, though.
Yeah, it was a little love tap to get you back on course.
Oh no, some of our advertisements have been strewn across the course.
The Porsche Martin bleeding positions now. Understandably so. Probably has a good amount of damage from that. As Higgs and Krawczyk are on top of each other going to turn 1. Always interesting when you see two of the same make, so those two McLarens stacked on each other. Then it becomes a battle of bravery and skill, but mostly bravery.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing you can hope is that, you're able to either get a little bit better of a launch out of the corner, or maybe you just have a little bit less drag on your setup and you can actually get some pace down the straight. That's the one thing that people, don't really think about too much, is even though they're the same car with the same BOP, everyone will say, oh, it's skill. But even if you're both accelerating at the exact same time, it doesn't take skill to just press the throttle down. But the drag may be different. So that's sometimes why you see some cars get away from others or come back on them.
Chat asking how early is Jacob pitting, and my answer to that is not yet. No one has dove in the pits yet. Probably because of the forced tire change. And the fact that these tires don't last.
I mean, so some of the strategy here is this sort of give and take on what you sacrifice, right? You can sacrifice having time on good tires if you pit early, which is not good because of the heat and all that stuff. But at the same time, depending on when you pit, you might be able to pop yourself back out into clean air and do, dozens of laps with that clean air and catch pace up. So that might be something you start thinking about, where you are after the pack sort of spreads out. When's that going to put you back out there after that 75-second pit lane trundle?
The infinitely long pit lane that ends in you're on your own now, kid, as there's a BMW spin and a McLaren off track. GB3 and Dudley Do-Right looks like having their issues. I don't know what happened there. GB3, Mr. Three Sticks himself, back on track. Great guy. Unfortunate driving going on right now, though. And it looks like Dudley might have just auto-quit the race. He's no longer available to look at.
That was an elegant spin, though, as we just caught up to the BMW.
Yeah, it looked good.
Oh, man. We have so many two wides into these tight end of the straight turns, and they're doing really well by and large. It seems like the chaos is happening, after the tight, hairpins or the tight turns. They're getting on the gas and maybe just washing out a little bit too early.
It does really feel like we're getting a lot of incidents in the areas I didn't expect incidents. We just had the thing with GB3 in turn 1, but we had a pretty big wreck at this corner coming up on screen that we're all looking at. Moffitt wasn't involved, but this corner right here we had a pretty big accident. Yeah, so far more incidents than I would have liked still, but we made it through lap 1 mostly alive, aside from Palmieri.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly looks like Charles was being slightly held up by the two Silvers in front. He had that problem a couple laps ago where he lost a ton of pace on the back straight, and I think that probably hurt him now having to follow people that are maybe able to keep him at bay, but are still probably slowing him up.
Yeah, it has a bit of an issue to turn 2, and it looks like Hayes is going to try to wrap it around the outside, and then thinks better of it, backs out. I'm glad someone's being safe.
Well, that's another, sort of like car versus car, different types. The McLaren was mid-engine, lighter, and got that, great ability to rotate around those turns. With the AMG, you really got to kind of fight. I think Higgs probably could have stuck with it, but it's dangerous sometimes.
Yeah, now he's getting swarmed by Stuttgart as 3 Porsches are running up on him. Poor guy's having a rough go of it.
Oh man, 3 of the 5 Porsches together. I mean, it's sort of like a cup race there,
It's collusion. It's absolutely collusion.
They just need to slipstream to find a way to get the pace of the other cars.
Yeah, they need slipstream to actually get some speed in a straight line. Again, shout out Mr. Bop.
It is very nice to look at the pack we're following and see how many people are within, what, 2/10, 3/10 of each other in this fight. This is entertaining racing, and I'm sure they're having a great time.
I don't know if I consider this to be having a great time. I'd be very stressed in this situation, as Andrew Berg does get the pass.
Fun. It's type 2. After the race, you go, oh, that was such fun racing. By the time you're white knuckling and leaning over in your seat, because that'll help.
Pouring sweat.
The further you lean in real life, the better your car will turn. I'm very certain of that.
Oh, we learned that in Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64. The more you turn the controller, the more the car turns.
Yeah, I could never not lean. I don't understand how people can just sit there and play Mario Kart like robots.
These people need to be locked up and studied. Update on the race leader, who we will not go to, but Dunham is now 5.5 seconds ahead of Diaz for P1 and then P2.
Yeah, that's that clean air.
Damiani's within a second of Diaz, but this gap has been fairly consistent for 3-4 laps now.
Well, I mean, you see what Damianin did, though, is he's got a gap on the guy behind him, and there's a gap there, so he was able to make up the pace up to P2, to fight. Whereas if he was still fighting with the coach and Bailey back there, it would have been a little bit more difficult to catch up.
Yeah, and remember to everyone that BMW is a little damaged, so coach closing the gap. We hopeful, because we all love the coach, but we'll see. As Emerson had some sort of issue and lost 3 paces back here in this pack.
Oh no, it's races like this when you have such a tight pack, when you have a relatively small track. I mean, I think it's like 2.4 miles or something, which is about as small as my normal local track that I go to, which definitely feels too small for, racing at, what do we have, 35, 40 cars, something like that. So,
yeah.
It's even if you lose a place here or there, I feel like it's just a matter of keeping things going, keeping the pace consistent. Even if you have to lose ground here, you can gain it back later.
As I said all that, Damiani closes the gap up to 1/10 of a second into that corner to Diaz in P2. So maybe it's not just a commentator's curse. Maybe I'm putting a battery in his back. But Aston's making up, I think, 4 of the top 6, and 5 of the top 8. So
yeah, you've got to wonder if the McLarens are maybe not so good on their tires here. Having maybe a little bit more weight on the front end when you're able to brake and get that turn in with those Astons, whereas the McLaren has the more of the weight in the center of the car, might be sliding around a bit more, might be losing a little bit of that grip.
We'll see. It looks like the Astons for sure are faster in Sector 1. Well, at least Damiani's faster than Diaz in Sector 1. As their last laps, Diaz did a 37.2 and Damiani did a 37.1, kind of just reeling them in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trope, and you'll say it every race, but it is true. It's one thing to catch, it's one thing to overtake. So you can defend pretty well, even if you're, a 1/10 or so slower than the car behind. It is so difficult to take the, off-race, off-track line and get around people, because as soon as you widen up that radius, it is a very big difference in the speed you need to carry, It is a difference in the braking that you're not ready for or not used to. And of course, if you're offline, you can get those, rubber globules all over your tires and lose traction for the next turn.
This is our update on the podium. Again, Dunham is almost 7 seconds clear. He's 6.8 now of Diaz, who has Damiani right behind him within a second. And there's a 2.5 second gap to the coach in P4, and then Bailey is 1 second behind that, 1.5 seconds behind that in P5. That rounds out your top 5. If I'm looking for a fight, who's having a good time right now? Charles and Carbo still, we were looking at them earlier. Did not name them, but we were looking at them earlier. They're still fighting. Still doing their thing.
Yeah, easy to pick out that AMG from 1,000 miles away.
This is a fun fight, because I'm fairly certain Mercedes and Porsche are both based in Stuttgart.
Yeah, they're about as far apart as you can imagine, though, as far as the type of car and the, mindset behind how to drive them.
Yeah, maybe not. They're both, SUV manufacturers now. So.
Hey, my Porsche SUV is probably as fast as my Porsche sports car, so, they know something.
Nonetheless,
it's very
they are
interesting to
SUVs.
look at the lap times here, though, right? I mean, mid-pack, you have very, very close best lap times, and of course, very close last lap times. But up front is just so unfair to have that clean air. He's almost half a second, maybe quarter of a second faster than anybody else's fastest lap. He's, his last lap is like half a second faster than the two behind him, because they're the ones that they're not maybe in a fight per se, because they're not that close. It doesn't look like we're seeing constant almost overtake, but there's still somebody in your mirrors. There's still something to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, just a car that close to you is naturally, you're going to be like, wait, are they going to send it? And that thought process itself, it shouldn't affect your drive if you're more than like 7 or 8, probably 6 or 7 times ahead, but it definitely still does. And how much you can mitigate that effect on your driving is huge. And anecdotally, I was talking to one of the Mercedes drivers at Daytona, one of the GT4 drivers, and he noted that the way you get really tired in a stint is you really tense up because you think something's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. Like,
Speaking of something happening,
Higgs, yellow flags,
yellow in the
track.
background, and somebody went straight to pit. That is a lot of damage
Man,
to the track, not the cars.
Oh, bonk, bonk. Bonk, bonk. Took out both Porsches. How do you take out 40% of the Porsches in one corner?
Oh, come on, guys.
Excellent driving.
I know it's tough. That's certainly, one of those turns where you're coming in with so much speed, and if you can't see around the relatively tight corner, then how are you going to know to brake earlier and, lift off earlier? You come around and suddenly someone's in your way. It's not easy to deal with. And we have someone.
What was that?
Look, this is going very well.
This is going swimmingly. Excellent driving. It's across the board. I think those two teammates hitting each other. That's unfortunate.
You can really tell, though, how much skill this group has, because most of the crashes, they've ended up spinning and facing the correct direction. That's the sign of a really good driver.
That's the measurement of skill. Let's see if I can finish this anecdote without anyone else dying. But he was basically just saying, like, throughout a stint, if you, like, really flex up your core because you're like, oh, something's going to happen 15 or 20 times extra in a stint over an endurance race, that can really, really, like, add up to fatigue.
God, yeah.
His like approach was to try to stay as calm as possible the whole time, to avoid, not just for his mental state and like his driving ability, but to avoid the physical fatigue of like flexing up your body, anticipating impact, and then doing that repeatedly over the course of a stint.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I mean, I wouldn't think about that because A, I don't have a core, but B, the driving that I do on track isn't actually like wheel-to-wheel racing, so I don't have to worry too much about the, oh, is this going to happen, tense up. But for me, and even it happens in sim racing, is your, stopping your constant breathing, holding your breath when something's a little bit tense or when you're focused on something. That can really add stress to you over the time of a stint. And at the same time, people don't understand that just sitting down and moving your arms and legs is actually a ton of micro movements from all these little muscles. And that does wear on you also. So flexing, your core being one big muscle and holding that tight, that would wear on you. But also, if you can breathe slowly or breathe constantly and get, stay hydrated if you can, that will make a huge difference. I've always been told that if you basically don't have to run to the bathroom to pee after a track session, then you weren't drinking enough.
I mean, SRA public service announcement, everyone should drink more water. None of you. All y'all in the chat, all of us in the race, the Discord has like what, 1,000, 2,000 people. None of us are drinking enough water. We should all do more of that. As we see a GTR and Wagner, car number 6 in P6. I know there's a lot of someone redeems and think about tomorrow. That's excellent, Colin. I will drink some from my water bottle sitting next to me. But yeah, every time I put the coach on screen, something bad happens. And in Sector 3, with the last lap, got passed up by 2 cars.
I do want to point out that both beer and whiskey have water in them. And that's what I'm sticking to.
This is not that kind of stream. Don't convince someone that we're gonna get bottoms up, then you're gonna have to drink for both of us.
Ooh. So yeah, Wagner's up 6 places. I believe he was the leading GTR at the start when I said that P12 was interesting for a GTR. So that is looking pretty handy for him.
P6 is more interesting.
Yeah, especially it's interesting that we might see that tires are better on the GTR. It is front engine like the AMG and the Aston, but it definitely isn't as heavy as those guys.
I know 0 about the GTR and ACC.
Oh, I talk about real life stuff and then pretend that video games make it actual. Oh, God. Really?
He was doing so well. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah. We weren't even watching him this time.
Yep. But the replay says, lost on exit. Yep. Mercedes things.
Oh.
And the BMW behind almost follows him off track.
I'm not 100% sure based on that angle, but I'm pretty certain that was turn 7, right?
Whatever the turn is onto the main straight, yeah.
Onto the main straight or onto the back straight?
Which one's which? I refer to the main straight as the longest straight.
Yeah, that's the main straight.
Oh,
I thought he might have been coming out of turn 7 onto the back straight.
Yeah, he was on the back straight. I'm an idiot.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's... Oh, wow, I forgot that there was a pit lane there, and what the heck is that guy doing? Okay, yeah. But no, this is what I'm saying. You got to keep an eye on turn 7. It's exactly what just happened. As you're losing traction in your tires as they wear down, the earlier you get on throttle out of that turn, the more likely you're going to have to lift off throttle and correct and wait for you to get the front end around because you'll slide out into the grass. It's just so flat. You really got to wait off throttle to get the nose all the way around far enough to add throttle and then track out correctly.
Anderson, Palmieri, Zuch, Martin, all in the pits. And this is a long pin stint. Just kind of chilling, waiting, 30 seconds control locked, waiting for your tires.
That is very helpful from chat, actually. I didn't know the GTR had a rear transmission. So yeah, it's definitely much better balance of a car, which, makes sense for the GTR. Interesting, though, that I believe the GTR in real life is all-wheel drive, right? So I wonder how that transmission is different when you have to make it rear-wheel drive in the racing.
The coach has
an
unfortunatism. Who is this with? I think this is with Jason Allen, question mark? Or Jason Allen's involved? Oh, what a dodge.
Ooh. That is so tough.
Jason said, "Not today, sir. Not today."
I mean, that is very well done by him recovering, though. I mean, like, to look at the map, to look at the timing of the people around you and know when you can actually do one of those, whip around spins to get back going the right direction. He did it and didn't seem to hold anybody up, and he was still directly on the racing line in a very narrow part of the track. So well done. I'm glad that we didn't see any more deaths.
Down to P12. As we see if the person who started in P12 can take Coach's P5. That'd be fun. P5 into P12, P12 into P5, but this GTR is going to have to get around Anastasi, who had ridiculous pace.
The GTR looks so much bigger than the Aston right now. That's very odd to me. I just don't see the GTR, you know, much. Obviously, we don't see it that often anymore because a lot of leagues don't VOP it, or even just the game doesn't VOP it well. But I didn't actually realize that it looks that much bigger than what I consider to be a pretty big car in the Aston.
They're very boxy too, which does not help the impression of their size. Nissan's engineers saying we want to prove boxy can be aerodynamic, and if you're a car person and you were a car person when this car came out, like the road car, it dominated, took over the world pretty much.
It was amazing. Yeah, I loved it.
And you can
Looks
get
like
into
we're
one for
getting
80
some pretty
grand.
healthy gas. Yeah, I know. Come on. You can get it for like 80, 85, and now it's like 185.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Unbelievable.
Get an old one, tune it, be done, save money, go fast.
Wow, look at that. I mean, he's just all over him, getting tighter turns, but also lifting off when he needs to get back in underneath the tail. That was masterclass of overtaking through the turns.
As now Wagner and the coach have swapped positions. Wagner's in P5 starting from P12, and the coach is in P12 starting from P5.
Yeah, a little bit of spinning will do that for you, but to be honest, dropping to 12th from having that spin in that location, not that bad. You know, it's just because these gaps have been created by some of the other death going on and some battles happening. I think if I'm Dunham out front, I probably try to go as long as I can. You know, he's getting away from the pack, you know, second by second, but if you go in and pit now, it's probably going to put him directly in that back traffic.
As an update on the race lead, Dunham doing his own thing, 8.5 seconds up. Damiani passed Diaz for P2, and they're still fighting. We missed that while we were watching all the chaos going on behind. We'll stick with these two for a little bit here. So yeah, Dunham, Damiani, Diaz, and then Kish, and then Wagner in P5. Jason Allen making the pass on Anastasi. Anastasi dives into the pits. We're right about halfway through the race. Expect to see a bunch of people starting to pit this lap, next lap, the lap after. And if you're Dunham, you gotta feel like you gotta cover off the cars behind, right? Like when they dive in the pits, you dive in the lap after, or do you have such a big gap that you don't care?
No, I think you try to run as long as possible here. I think the bet being that, you know, as people pit and then they come out with faster tires and maybe even start taking some time back in your laps, you might be able to get back out into cleaner air. If you look at him right now, I believe he would pop out somewhere around the P23 car that is already pitted. It looks like they're, about 90 seconds or so back. So somewhere between P22 and P23 based on what's going on right now. So that means if we're looking... Yeah, exactly. But if they all pit and then you try to cover and pit, that will work. That will keep you pretty much where you are. I don't think it's a good bet. You got to keep your eye on the track map and see if everyone's going to pit. You know, it's a little bit tough to do when you're racing around.
Well, here's some of the... He's actually coming out, and it looks like he might not clear the cars in front who are coming out of the pit lane right now, or he will just clear them.
Oh, that'll be fun. Who's 87?
The 87.
Anastasi's coming out right now.
And gets clear out of the way. Diaz is dove into the pits as well this lap. But it looks like Dunham managed to beat out the pit traffic as well. We'll keep an eye on that, see if he comes out in any bit of a mess anytime soon. The timetables are going crazy with all these cars coming down the main straight right now.
Yeah, he cut the pit lane line. The not very obvious, not very realistic in this track pit lane line. It has to have the shortest blend line of any track.
Is it a blend line or a hard stop?
Yes. Oh man, if you couldn't have a worse race coming up. We're watching, you know, Charles and that bright green AMG having fun earlier, but SG's 30.
Woof.
Trying to get back some of the time he lost, I'm guessing, from his spin, trying to do as fast of a pit stop as he could, and it ended up costing him. And An SG30 here with the pit length, I mean, that's like 2 or 3 laps, right? That's insane.
Yeah, he's effectively out of contention for anything but last place.
Yeah. Let's see, the leader is coming back down the main straight, and we do have a car that will likely be exiting. Well, no, I guess they already got out there, so not an issue this time. We do have the pack behind, though, all coming down, P4, 5, 6, etc., which might be making it to the end with
Definitely having a
turn
bit of
1.
an issue. Wonder what these yellow flags are for. Was it an off track, or let's see what happens here. Oh, yep. Just declaring things. That's not the right racetrack.
There might be more grip out on that other line. I would stay up there.
It's only good for turning left. He's trying to turn right. It's going the wrong way.
Man, that's a rough place for that to happen, too.
Damiani, Jeffrey, Schlitz, Chan, and GB3 all in the pits, as well as Charles serving his stop to 30, and Martin, who I think may have retired the car? I don't know, I feel like they've been in the pits for a very long time.
Probably a couple laps down at least at this point.
I mean, the gap to the leader is a minute and climbing quickly. After the shakeout, we have 3 pairs of cars that are within a second of each other. Everyone else is kind of shaken out.
So, who do we have that hasn't pitted in gold? Actually, a good amount of gold and silver still. Sometimes you can see a difference in strategy based on, some of that experience. If you can be a little bit easier on your tires, sometimes gold drivers can stay out a little bit longer, but it looks like either the strategy here is sort of do 30 and 30 and just hope that works, or, maybe they're all dealing with the same sort of tire issues as everyone else.
As Dunham from the race lead dives in the pits, as well as
Yeah.
Kish and Allen, both the Astons of the same team diving in the pits. So in the pits right now we have Dunham, Kish, Allen, Gardner, Key, and Martin still in the pits, who I think has retired. I do think they've retired the car. But now we have a GTR running in P1. Hallelujah.
Stop the count.
Stop the count. Stop the count. And as to why people waited so long, I have no idea. Maybe they want a lighter car and fuel with fresher tires. But I think it's been pretty clearly established that the tires go off really fast. And it's not necessarily worth it.
I'll tell you, those guys in the Porsches that waited so long, if you're able to keep the car in control and wait longer in the Porsche, it's a bigger benefit because your tires will go off faster than other cars. So whether you adjust like your brake bias or you take turns slightly differently to conserve your tires in your first stint, the second stint they may be able to come back and attack much better.
Yeah, although I question that on this track only because I don't feel like there are a lot of places to attack.
Well, I mean, we've seen most of the overtakes happen in the turns here, and that's sort of the only place the Porsche excels. If you get the turns right, if you get that a little bit tighter turn that you can take because you can't get on throttle as early as other people, then you might be able to pull something off.
As Gardner dives into the pits, last of the top 5 to pit, we'll track where he comes out. Diaz is now stuck right up behind Damiani. I think they are a natural P2, P3. Because they're in 6th and 5th. Dunham's in still 6.5 seconds clear, currently in P4. And the top 3 right now, naturally on track, are all in the pits.
Hey, only 6 seconds versus like 8 or 9. See, the undercut worked. Tough though. It's tough having P2 and P3 be in this battle again. You're never going to catch up to the guy in front when you've got to defend and fight the whole time.
Yeah.
It makes it more interesting though. The 2 steps on the podium being this close is definitely a fun
This
fun
is
race.
what I'm hoping
But
for out of
that-
Formula 1 this season. Like, no one's going to catch Max. But I hope the fight for every other position is cool.
Yeah, true. We should get some DRS and ACC.
Yes. We should get a Joker lap in GT racing. That's what we should have.
Oh, that would be cool. Or if
Like-
you get to take like one shortcut.
One time at Paul Ricard over the course of an hour, you just
Exactly.
take a right and cut the track in half.
Or actually, you know what I'm thinking is the bus stop at Watkins Glen. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Just straight through. All good.
As Wagner comes out in P5 behind, splitting the teammates of Bailey Cage and Jason Allen. Who else is doing? Anastasi, current silver leader in P7. Less than a second behind Jason. You can see him on screen, flashing at the bottom.
Is
Paul,
Cody
very
Flat
setting-
not in front of him? Oh, he's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul Berry's setting a purple lap time, by the way. His last lap was a 35.9, but his best is a 35.7. So it sounds like he took tires and just decided, I'm going to prove I'm the fastest, even if I don't win the race. And
Well, with all of his trouble early on, his tires must have been pretty awful.
Chad is asking for Paule. Where's Paule? Mr. Hartman running in P28. Doing his thing. Driving the 296. No one within 5 seconds in front or 27 seconds behind.
Yeah, gaps are definitely opening up now in the almost the last third of this race. You know, people are starting to just sort of be in a rhythm, but also maybe not as energetic or adrenaline high, you know, when you're not able to keep up that fight.
I feel like I've been watching Krawczyk in a fight. Krawczyk, like the whole race in this McLaren, for which I don't have a livery. Upload to ASR, please. But yeah, he's right up the rear end of Schlitz, within 4/10. Coming through sector 1, where these Astons are seemingly ridiculously fast. At least in terms of performance.
Definitely, it seems like Wagner actually did gain at least a position by pitting later, and now he's got two cars within a second of each other up his ass. But I mean, hey, you get that lead, it makes it way harder for them to overtake you, and he was doing a great job. So I don't think he has too much to worry about.
Yeah, well, like you said earlier, like if you want to pass me, you don't just have to prove that you're faster than me. You have to prove that you can pass me, and those are two different sentences.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, if you're the guy chasing Wagner, you're not just clear to go fight him on your own when you have someone else just as close to you right behind.
Yeah, Jason can't afford to be too aggressive in the attack, forgetting he needs to defend. Got to keep that left hand up. Can't catch a wild one.
And yet the gap up front is still 6.5, so it's not growing much.
And they're doing identical lap times pretty much. They both did a 136.3 last lap. And then Diaz did a 136.2. And then Bailey did a 136.3. And Wagner did a 136.4. So like, and Jason did a 136.4. So the top 6 are doing the same times. Plus minus like a 10th last lap for P1 all the way to like P8.
Yeah, that's nice to see, but now that the gaps have already sort of formed, it kind of means that each pack of people fighting will probably not change or move up to another group. So we're looking at, you know, the three-way fight here for P5, and then a little bit down you're looking at the three-way fight or two-way fight for P8, and et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, everywhere we look, there are 2- and 3-way fights all the way down to, you know, at least P12. There's 2 or 3 cars here and there that'll be fun and interesting to watch, but I don't know, that backpack sure looks like there's a lot of people squished together, and it'll be interesting to see how they are able to finish this race like that.
Yeah, we'll see how people's tire wear starts to hold up, and whether or not, you know, how long till mental mistakes start factoring in. As Palmieri just put in a 36.1 again, he has the best lap on track right now, purple lap of a 35.7, and there's no one else in the 35s.
Not bad. I mean, is he catching traffic, or is he just sort of in the air?
He's He's kind
Yeah,
of
he's got a little bit of a gap.
He's running to Higgs, but Higgs I think is a lap up on him. No, I lied. Higgs is 2 seconds ahead of him. So he's running him down.
Yeah, I mean, Higgs's last lap was almost a second slower.
2 more of those laps, and then we gotta figure out how well Higgs can defend. How many Astons in the top 10? Too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 10 are Astons. Of the 4 that aren't Astons, 3 of them are McLarens. And then there's a GTR just in there, as we're watching on stream right now.
Yeah, there's only 3 car makes all the way back to P11.
Oh yeah, because the other Aston's now in P11. Gardner doing his thing. Getting chased down by the coach, trying to kick the Nissan out, replace with the BMW. Saying, we actually make the best straight 6s.
It is a little bit telling that all of the Porsches are in silver, though.
Yeah. And before someone jumps me, I know the GTR has a V6, not a straight 6. But the R34 had a straight 6. And most modern BMWs have straight 6s. Let's see what's going on somewhere else. Chan and Moffitt. I feel like we've seen these two together for like a lot of this race.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, they were right there with Charles early on. When he dropped out of this, it just became sort of a them 2 battle.
Yeah, that banana-colored Mercedes. Looked like a hazard sign. Couldn't get out of its own way, unfortunately. It's currently in P29, which is dead last, as again, P32 is, or whoever's in last is, I guess it has abandoned the car in the pits.
I think that is when they are out of the server, right?
Potentially, as Moffitt sneaks a look up the inside, forces Shannon deep, and then can't convert on it, has to back out. Decides to live to fight another day.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a good idea to back out there, and it's good to see that, you know, they're making these intelligent decisions, because there's still 20, or there's still 19, you know, ish minutes left. This isn't a last lap dive sort of situation. You're not fighting for, you know, a podium or anything. There's not a huge gap around you, so if you're catching him like that, take your time. Stay on your line, and they'll probably make a mistake.
Yeah, and this is an iconic battle between the NSX and the Ferrari, because Ferrari as a brand, like a road car brand, is who it is today because of the NSX. Not this one, the old one, but mid-engine sports car that worked. Did it catch itself on fire? Had to, all the supercar manufacturers at the time had to adjust.
Just boring. A little bit of fire goes a long way to make an exciting car.
You said you drive a Porsche.
Yes, I know. There's no fire on those, but it's still fun.
Except for the old GT3s, they were lighting themselves on fire.
Yeah, I'd say that's a driver error.
There was a recall. They were using flammable
driver
glue.
error. Yeah, exactly. Driver error.
Why aren't you
Don't
managing
let
to
your
heat
glue
your
light
tires
on
better?
fire while you're driving.
So you're stepping right up the rear in the carbo.
I do wonder if at this track anybody's getting any warnings about cutting. I really don't think it's something that I saw at all in my limited practice, so probably not. But I mean, this is near the part of the race when you start to see something pop up and people get those little penalties.
Yeah. I can't even, I'm not even super sure where you would get a penalty. Maybe on the exit of turn 7 onto the straight?
I believe also turn 11/12. If you track out too far on 12, I think you can take a little bit too much curb there and get a warning.
That makes sense.
And it's easy because, you know, tracking out there is getting on throttle as early as you possibly can. So you have all of the benefits for gaining time there, which I imagine is why that there's a possibility of a warning. Whereas a lot of the other areas around here where you know, go way too far over the curb, you're not actually going to be gaining any time on it.
Yeah, well, my approach to these races is I always keep a track cut in my back pocket for the last lap in case I'm being attacked by a driver. In which case, I will cut the track to defend, and I will
That's a great idea.
accept the track cut, and it won't give me the penalty, and we'll keep it pushing. Chad's
Yeah, let's
asking,
jump up to the P2.
yeah, Diaz and Damiani check. They're still within half a second, just kind of driving each other around.
I don't remember exactly which track it is. I'm sure Chad will be able to tell me, but there's one track that's notorious for this like set of turns where you can get 2 warnings in a row, and it kills people because you're like, oh, I've got a warning left. Bang, bang, done, penalty. And I just remember in the last league I was in, there was a race we were doing that, and I hit it twice.
Oof. Yeah, Chat's saying
Yeah.
Masano. Masano would be the one for that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, not great.
You can cut a lot of corners really quickly at Laguna if you just don't do the corkscrew. You just drive straight.
I think actually if you lighten up your suspension a bit and just jump the corkscrew, probably fine.
I mean, what was that? The 911 Dakar? They took it to the Nürburgring? Santa Laguna.
Oh yeah.
Just downhill it.
Yeah, seriously, going down the rocks with the corkscrew, that'd be great.
Laguna is my local track. I went to college about 45 minutes away from Laguna, and I currently live about an hour and a half.
Oh, that's amazing.
Sonoma would be my other local track. Sonoma's about 35 minutes away. And I rode Laguna on a bike, and the feeling you get in like the pit of your stomach, like during a drop of a roller coaster, that's how it feels. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I imagine it's similar to going down the hill at Mount Panorama.
Less walls, thankfully.
Yeah. Apparently 2 warnings also in Maggots and Beckett's. That is not something I knew, but Silverstone is not a track I've raced too much at, which is really weird because of how, well known, how big of a track it is. It's just, I don't know why it hasn't come up in the leagues that I've been in enough times. I did like a 12-hour race there though once, and that was tough.
Man person's defending as best he can, but that BMW has some big damage to the front end. You can see the hood is popped. It's not just camo.
I was gonna say, how can you see that?
Camo is the wrong color. Everything around it is green.
Everything around it is Porsches.
That too. Can't hide from the pigs. Who else is having a fight?
Oh, the coach battle. BMW on BMW up there.
Chungus. The fat Bavarians are doing their thing. Unable to catch the GTR in front, it looks like. They've been trailing for a while.
The gap to Damiani from Diaz, constantly under half a second. I mean, this is, D2 and D1 guys, aliens, all that stuff. I cannot imagine getting to a point where that doesn't just get on my nerves or freak me out or something. Like, I do so much tracking, I do so much driving, and it doesn't matter. I still notice the mirror, Someone coming up that close to me, it's going to make me make a mistake. I'm much better at following.
Yeah, I mean, when I drive on track, I'll flip my mirror away, which I don't think I'm supposed to do, but I'll just completely turn it to the side. Like, I don't want to see. It's fine. I'll look in my side mirrors if I need to look behind me. And an ACC, turning off your virtual mirror, I guess is similar. But the radar's more... If you don't see him on the mirror and then you see him on the radar, then you're like, wait a second, what's going on here?
Yeah, especially if you have, a single screen or something like me where you don't have side mirrors.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. I have an ultra wide, so I can see one of my side mirrors, the driver's side. That's it.
Okay, well, I mean, he's holding off a Porsche for not that, bad. When you got something like the BMW or even the Mercedes, you're a lot more likely to be driving sort of like an autocross, right? Where you go as fast as you can, slam on your brakes, and accelerate as hard as you can. And it's just something that the Porsche has a lot of trouble keeping up with, because usually you'll brake earlier than the Porsche needs to. which means that they have to lose their momentum going into it. And that's why you see cars like the BMW and the Mercedes get away from the Porsches so well on these sort of tracks.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're over the idea of bopping the BMW, and now we understand we need to bop Michael. But so far so good for the BMWs. They haven't had too bad of a race. Kush had a little bit of an unfortunate incident. Tacomas have some positions. And they look generally very, very competitive in pace. Although not nearly as competitive as the Astons, who are dominating. 5 of the top 7 are Astons.
Yeah, surely if we come back to this track before there's major BOP changes in the game, the Aston Martin needs to get about another Aston Martin into its car.
It's like when they're advertising electric cars, like, I can beat this car towing this car, just add an Aston to the Aston.
Exactly.
Krochik now running up on Anastasi. He dispatched Schlitz at some point.
Anastasi having just a great race being up there in P10, great qualifying. I mean, if you can, do this consistently and just keep on your lines and keep racing there, that's going to be pretty cool to finish in the top 10 as a silver driver.
And
not that they wouldn't otherwise, but hey.
2 seasons ago, I'm pretty sure Anastasi was in D4.
Not bad.
3 seasons ago, but yeah, very, very rapid. Lots of improvement. Making me feel worse about myself. Nice.
I mean, Anastasi's best lap time is like within a tenth of the other top 4-ish people. I think the best lap time from Palmieri and maybe Dunham are a little bit further than that. But I mean, Anastasi's sticking right with him. So I guess Anastasi to gold to D1.
Didn't get promoted yet, so he's gonna hold his spot for the rest of the season as the silver driver. So we'll see if that turns into a shoey at the end of the season.
So actually, what we have here is we have a McLaren very, very close to an Aston, and up ahead in P2 and P3 we have a McLaren very, very close to an Aston. I wonder if this is something we're going to see with tires, with the tire degradation, with the fuel drop. If one of the 2 cars will get the advantage, the Astons had the advantage, for power for most of this race, but there's a good chance those McLarens might be able to sneak on by in the last few minutes.
We'll see. I think I've never heard anyone complain about the Aston's tires, and I have heard many, many a soul complain about the McLaren's tires. So we'll see.
Well, I think that's probably what's keeping the Aston in front of the McLarens right now. But the one thing that I see with a lot of people, I mean, maybe everyone in P2 is more experienced, but the one thing that I tend to see is a little bit of a problem is as the fuel gets lower and lower and lower, you tuned the car for whatever fuel was in it, maybe sometimes mid-fueled, and you do have to make adjustments when you lose that much weight. You might end up having your braking point be further or further back if you haven't made adjustments.
Whoa. What happened here? Server disconnect. We're going to get right back in. Don't worry about that stream. Unless the whole server crashed, we'll be right back in momentarily.
Oh, it's down.
Have we lost all servers?
Oh. What was there, 15 minutes left?
There was 8 minutes left.
Was there really?
Servers just flashed back in. And I don't have the divisional servers.
Awful.
Chat, can we confirm this is not a me thing and this is a everyone thing? Everyone dropped. Oh no.
Wow. All that work.
So close to the end too. Oh, that's tough. I don't know what our backup plan is for races that end prematurely. I don't have a.
Well, you know who just basically won, right?
I'm pretty confident we can say Dunham has won this race. So.
No, I'm going to say Palmieri. He got knocked out, knocked all the way to the back, and now it doesn't matter. He's still leading the league. Or I guess he was leading the... I'm looking at the fastest laps, never mind. But where is the league? I had that up too. either way, I still think he probably has the best luck out of that happening. You know.
Listen, the amount of incidents we
further down.
had, this is a nice comic racing livery. As people are hopping into the chat, I think, to see what's going on. Sounds like someone had the servers on auto restart. I'm sure heads will roll, but these are all Valencia tracks now. Look at this beautiful comic racing livery. Look at it.
Ooh. That is nice.
Now we're just doing a show and tell. Where's my other comic racing livery? This is the Enduro car. And then... not that one. This might be my favorite livery I've ever driven.
Oh, wow. That is really, really good. I love the FAF livery so much. I've got tons and tons of pictures of that car, you know, that I've taken at the track and shirts and all stuff. I don't know. Can't get enough of the plaid, but that is a great version of that.
Yeah, this car is pink on accident. It's supposed to be red. We're still not sure why it's pink, but we ran with it. I'm actually gonna pull in. I'm gonna leave that up for everyone to look at something pretty. I'm gonna pull in Dunham if I can find him, because I think he was our race leader and, you know, provisional race winner, yeah. Assumed race winner. I just don't know where I would find him. I don't see him in any of the chats. In fact,
maybe,
you know what? I'm gonna pull Jacob up here. I think Jacob has something interesting to talk about. Jacob, buddy, you're on the stream.
Oh, hello.
I need to turn you all the way up.
Is it better now?
Yes.
What's up, man?
Nothing much. How was your race? We saw what happened on lap 1.
Absolutely terrible.
I'm wondering if that the server crashing might have worked out in your favor a little bit.
Something's telling me the results are gonna stand, so I don't think so.
Someone's saying the results will stand as they are, or as they were?
I would think so. There was only 9 minutes left. So
do we have a record of what the results? I guess replay.
Yeah. So unfortunately, no. Unfortunately not.
So talk to me, what happened? Because we saw you at a purple lap later, so you definitely had some pace. But what happened on lap 1-ish, turn 8?
Well, I got absolutely obliterated. I think that was all it is, and I got ran into like 6 more times. So
I don't know if you got a chance to catch a stream. I kind of just kept the camera on you, waiting for you to move.
Yeah, you know, everybody. I knew there wasn't going to be a gap. I just sat there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it was pretty over from the beginning. But yeah, it was fun.
How'd you feel in the car? Because you definitely had some pace.
Car felt great.
Nice.
Car felt great. Messed up qualifying. I had a 35.2. And then I didn't do it.
And then I didn't do it.
Yeah, you know.
Did you have it then?
We're going to pretend like I did. We're going to go with that.
Was the scene from the Fast and the Furious? The first one is like, I had you, like you didn't even have your own car? Sounds like you might have had a similar issue.
I'm going to go with, for my mental health, I'm going to say I had that one.
Fair enough. Here, that's right. We do preach that you should protect your mental health.
There we go. There we go.
This is the official stance of the league.
Yeah, look at that. Perfect.
Alright. Good talk. I'm going to put you back where I found you.
See you, Wood.
Yeah. Where did you... There we go. Or he can leave himself. That's cool too. Chat, is there anyone else you want us to pull in?
Certainly makes sense to just use the replay to get the standings and everything. A little bit extra work, I guess. But yeah.
Let's I should have auto-saved. So let's get a final tally on where everyone would have finished before everything went haywire. Provisionally, we will say Dunham P1, Damiani P2, Diaz P3, Bailey P4, Nick Wagner, the man of the people in the GTR, in P5, Jason Allen P6, Anastasi 7, Krawczyk 8, Schlitz, which I think Krawczyk will be very upset about considering the gap, Schlitz in P9, and Platt in P10. Looks like in the end, Wagner and the coach did end up switching places, with Wagner finishing in 5th after starting in 12th, and the coach ending in 12th after starting in 5th.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that.
I like the idea of a 10-minute sprint race, but logistically, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, without too much more to really discuss, there's no more racing. Doesn't seem like many people were in the chats yet. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's a very anticlimactic finish to what was some very good racing and some very bad racing, to be fair. Sam, you got anything to tell the people before we hop off, I guess?
I mean, this is just tough. You know, if something happens where you get crashed out or a tight fight and things go wrong, you say that's racing. But when something like this happens, it's just understandable to be pretty upset. But I think that everyone did a really good job. I do think there was more death than we expected after pretty good start around at least turn 1. But hey, you know, maybe compared to the other groups, this was an improvement. Entertaining to watch, entertaining to sit here and talk with you. So I enjoyed it at least.
Yeah, I had a good time. I'm very much looking forward to, on the back end, figuring out how the league's going to handle the disconnect. We have some protocols, but I don't know how we're going to go about doing it. Can't wait to figure that out. Although it's not my job, someone else will figure it out. Can't wait to watch how they figure it out. But besides that, chat, we had a good time. It's very, very active chat today. Maybe they missed us after not streaming last week. Yeah, that'll be it. That was round 4 of season 10 for Division 2 of SRA. Everyone have a good night.